¿Quién? ¿Cuál? Lina. Lina. Pero eso al rato. Primero tiene que estar todo súper bien. El primer slide es del. She's gonna do the slides. Okay, never mind. Like a pull up one by one for speakers. Perfect. Quédate cerca. Porfis. Okay. Ya estamos. Perdón. Okay, we're about ready. Everyone ready? Yeah.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Can we get the whole organized team together?
Yes.
And then you're gonna know about the well,
Perfect. Yeah.
I'll do the announcement about the transition services.
Sales, ¿verdad? Hola, Samantha. Mucho gusto.
Is everyone here? Ready?
Yeah, Sales is the first speaker. She just has to say.
Actually, nice to see you. Yeah, you.
Party's first.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
That is
Yeah, Marty's the
Sales.
first.
Oh, party.
Oh, wait, I missed that first. Okay.
Yeah.
There's.
Is everyone here?
Yes. So what I'm thinking is we'll have yourself, introduction, and then the student part of the planning will be.
Yep.
We'll have them go back and go and introduce the first speaker.
Perfect.
And then after that, what I'm gonna do is.
Yeah. Okay, ¿ya estamos listos? Ah, pues el grupo que organizó. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola.
Ustedes van primero, ¿no? ¿Son los maestros? You guys up first?
Okay. We're first. Hola. Yes.
It's being recorded currently on a live stream. So one of you can hold this.
Okay.
One of you can hold this. First it's
Yep.
about logistics,
Yep.
space, things are coming. The student organizing committee.
Yeah.
Say a couple things.
Yeah.
And then he stays on to present Marty.
Yes, that's right. So you'll be kind of last, so to
You
speak.
present Marty.
Yeah.
And then Sam.
English and Spanish, right?
Slides up.
You can you can do either. Who's the translation?
Yes, right from Rafa.
Yeah, I was
He's gonna stay on.
Yeah. And then while he's doing that, I'll come on to.
You want me to do introductions to Spanish and English, right?
No, it's not necessary. There's a translation here, so we're gonna announce that.
You want me to do it or not?
Check language watch. She's about this.
Just one language, not both. All right. Okay, shall we? Okay.
Okay.
Would you first for translation?
Yes, so. You guys go first.
Okay. Yeah, you say first for the translation, and then I can always hand it back. And we could just, yeah.
So I give it to you guys, you go up, and then you pull everyone else.
Yes.
So I'm putting this on you,
Okay.
or
Yeah, I can hold.
I'm just gonna stick it up here.
You know what setting?
Let's do that out still.
We're on a live stream. I just need to make this not go to sleep because then it cuts out.
We're here, like, if you,
I thought you meant close.
wait, the lights are here.
I'm like, this live stream's on. Where do you think control center?
If you, it's on the display. Uh-huh.
No, I want to show it in the control center. That's what that's doing.
Okay.
I don't know how to do it, but it's gonna come out.
Well, not fine, but it's like maybe I'm you know, make it like yes.
We're just trying to make it so it never goes to sleep. Like with an activity.
Is it being charged? Okay,
Yes.
good. Because I was like,
Yeah. Is this one?
yes.
Sorry, we're just up.
No.
Off screen.
Never.
Never. That's what you.
Never. No, it's okay.
Or we'll remember to do that.
Here you go.
Okay,
good, right?
that should do it. Yeah. So I'm like, what if someone's standing there and then it just goes away? And we pick that up again.
Turn off the music on YouTube.
Yeah.
Perfect. That might be fine. Yeah.
The other thing I can do is make this full screen and make Marty's presentation full screen and like a window, so when you're done, you can go. Does that make sense?
Well, when I was like,
So like you swipe up, this will be full screen. Like this. So that's a desktop.
oh,
You see what I mean?
so, you just put it like.
So it would be like this.
That's it.
And then you just have to have them play it.
So just like this.
3 fingers.
Well,
Yeah.
and how do you like
I don't know what this is.
view?
I don't know how to
Probably
use
you.
I don't know how to use thing calls. So I don't know.
Go back.
Always
Look what's this view. Has to be there.
It's probably play actually.
Okay. Put it. There it is. So we do it all the time. So the 3 fingers.
Yeah.
I go.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's bad.
Hola, hola. Hola, bienvenides a la conferencia binacional del 2026. Estamos muy emocionados de tenerlos aquí. Y nada más un par de anuncios antes de comenzar. We're just going to do a few announcements before we get started. We have Mariana here. Is our professional translation services. Aquí está.
Buenos días a todos, bienvenidos. Tenemos el servicio de interpretación simultánea en español. Quien quiera escuchar las presentaciones en español, pasen con nosotros. Acá atrás donde está Axel, levante la mano Axel, por favor. Y allí los podemos ayudar, les vamos a dar un aparatito para que puedan escuchar toda la presentación en español. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. We're going to be providing interpreting services in Spanish and English. So if you need assistance, we can help you providing you a device so you can listen to the presentation in English or Spanish. And please, Axel, raise your hand. He's there. We can assist you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Right, welcome everyone. I'm Paul Brazell, and I'm faculty with the SDSU School of Social Work, and I've been fortunate enough to be the advisor for this Student Success Fee for this wonderful binational conference, and all of these committee members over here and up on stage with us as well. And unfortunately, Dr. Min was not able to join, but I have a couple of words I'd like to share from him. So Dr. Min is our director and professor of the School of Social Work at SDSU, and he wants to welcome all of you to the Binational Social Work Conference 2026. And he wants to welcome our keynote speakers and all of the folks presenting at workshops. You're going to dive through thought-provoking and inspiring discussions and also share a passion for social work in the border region. All of the participants, whether professionals working in the community and the students, we acknowledge and recognize your tireless dedication and devotion to serving your communities in the field of social work. And he's expressing his deep thanks to the SDSU Social Work schools and faculty for their preparation and hosting the conference. Eder Gomez in the final year of his MSW program. Stephanie Venegas Gomez in the final year of her MSW program. Ivan Mercado Pena in the final year of his MSW program. And myself, Paul Brazell, the faculty advisor. And we also have had many other student volunteers, and so we thank them. And of course, we want to thank our partner school down in Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico, and we're going to hear from Carmen there. And I really just want to share that I hope that through today, you feel a connection with each other and that you walk out feeling some hope and some inspiration in this challenging time. And I want to end that with just a couple of small details for the day. You see that our restrooms are over here to the left. And also, if we should have any guests that are not invited and show up that might cause any kind of problems for any of our participants, folks can go through. There's a locked door. It's open right now. They can go through and be in the kitchen, and we can shut and lock that door, and it's through here. And it's also through here. So that's just some safety protocol for us. So again, welcome and thanks for being here. I'm going to pass it to Carmen.
Buenos días a todas y a todos. Rocío González de la Escuela de Trabajo Social de Tijuana, incorporada a la UABC. Es un honor darles la más cordial bienvenida a esta conferencia binacional, un espacio que hoy reúne a trabajadoras y a trabajadores sociales de Estados Unidos y México, unidos por una misma vocación: servir, acompañar y transformar realidades. La realización de estos encuentros es profundamente significativo y lo es aún más en estos tiempos en los que estamos viviendo, en un contexto marcado por los desafíos y conflictos relacionados con la migración, con las desigualdades sociales y las tensiones entre comunidades. El trabajo social, la empatía y la colaboración binacional se vuelven indispensables. Hoy, más que nunca, el mundo necesita profesionales comprometidos, sensibles y éticos, dispuestos a tender la mano y construir puentes donde otros levantan muros. Este espacio nos recuerda que no estamos solos, que desde distintas realidades, distintos idiomas y sistemas compartimos un mismo objetivo: contribuir a un mundo más justo, humano y solidario. Como trabajadoras y trabajadores sociales, somos facilitadores, mediadores, intermediarios y sobre todo aliados de quienes más nos necesitan. Quiero expresar un agradecimiento muy especial a las y a los organizadores de este evento, a quienes tuvieron la visión y el compromiso de iniciar la primera conferencia binacional, y a todos y a todas los que a lo largo de estos años se han ido sumando con entusiasmo, esfuerzo y convicción para que este proyecto siga creciendo y fortaleciéndose. Especialmente agradecemos el involucrar en estas actividades a los estudiantes de la Escuela de Trabajo Social de Tijuana, incorporada a la UABC, que los van a reconocer porque traen unas camisas azules y la camisa como voluntarios, entonces los van a identificar un poquito más. Sigamos unidos, trabajando desde cada una de nuestras áreas, compartiendo conocimientos, experiencias y buenas prácticas. Que este encuentro nos inspire a seguir colaborando más allá de las fronteras, siempre con el corazón puesto en el servicio y la dignidad humana. Gracias por estar aquí, por su tiempo, su compromiso y su pasión por el trabajo social. Les deseamos una jornada muy productiva, enriquecedora, divertida y amena. Sean todos ustedes bienvenidas y bienvenidos. Gracias.
Dimos las gracias a la Escuela de Trabajo Social, que siempre nos ha acompañado en ese proceso eso empezó en el 2017. This conference started in Tijuana in 2017. We're on our 6th year now. It's very emotional and conmovedor, más que nada en estos tiempos de horrible violencia en nuestras comunidades, el desplazamiento forzado. Y hoy estamos aquí como una fuerza comunitaria, como trabajadores sociales y como healers and community members. Today's agenda has an amazing collection of speeches about intergenerational trauma and strength, how to resource somatically. We have our Dales Luis Santa, who's here specializing in immigration. He's going to be our first presenter. Amazing presenters today, you guys. I'm really excited. Martina Sellers, go ahead and stand up. He's going to from Marcel Wellness Center. We have 4 different LCSWs giving workshops about community practice and social work in immigration communities, exploring cultural humility, and collective healing. So we couldn't have done this, of course, without the Trabajo Social, la Escuela de Trabajo Social de Tijuana, and SDSU for always supporting this project and being behind it. And más que nada, the student and alumni organizers, so I want them to give a few words about the event, and nada más recordarles que aquí está una exposición zapatista. There's a zapatista beautiful exhibition here. I encourage you to go through it. The Zapatista movement is also about collective resistance in the face of tyranny. And a very powerful quote from su comandante Marcos is que intentaron enterrarnos, pero no sabían que éramos semillas. And that's what I want to take away from today. Everybody coming together, collective resistant energy, and sí se puede.
Hi everyone. Thank you all for coming here today. My name is Stephanie Venegas Gomez. I'm a student here at San Diego State University. I am so grateful to be here and to be part of such an amazing event. This topic is very close to my heart. As a daughter of immigrant parents, I witnessed, and like many of us have witnessed, our parents sacrifice so much in pursuits of stability, safety, and for a better life, not just for themselves, but for future generations. Um, um, their bravery and sacrifice is what fuels me to keep going. Now being in this position, I want to use my privilege to stand up and support my community and others. Now more than ever, we need to fight against injustice and simply for humanity. With that being said, we are so grateful to be able to work with our Tijuana community and to be able to create this event. We hope this conference not only gives you the tools and understanding to better support our binational community, but a space to build connections. So here is to community for coming together and to building a strong community. Thank you, everyone.
Buenos dias, good morning, everybody. It is a privilege to welcome you all to the 2026 Binational Social Work Conference at Santa Cruz de la Raza. My name is Ivan Miguel Peña. I'm a third-year graduate social work student at San Diego State University. This space was designed as a cross-disciplinary environment where practitioners, students, and advocates can interact with one another. By working together, we promote the professional growth of social workers, serving the unique needs of the Tijuana-San Diego region. As a collective, estamos siendo testigos de un cambio rápido e inquietante en las políticas públicas y migratorias. We are seeing and feeling the shock waves of systemic changes that directly impact our ability to support our transfronterizos and migrant communities. These shifts threaten the very safety nets that we work so hard to build. Because of our geopolitical location, la importancia de promover y proteger espacios multiculturales como este es fundamental. No podemos hacer este trabajo solos. It is here, in this cross-disciplinary space, that we bridge the gap between the abstract law and lived experience across our regions, expanding our collective understanding of how these policies impact individuals and families that we serve every day. We are witnessing an increase of anti-immigrant rhetoric and fear tactics in the form of ICE raids. We are feeling the tremors of collective trauma, ya que estas tácticas buscan fracturar a nuestras comunidades. It has become increasingly difficult to ignore that our institutions have transitioned from a place of inquiry and academic challenge to favor the safety of silence. Pero aquí buscamos la unidad. Sanar es un acto de justicia. Al priorizar este proceso, debemos entender algo fundamental. We are not just practicing self-care, we are practicing resistance. Priorizar nuestra sanación es un acto de resistencia contra un sistema que busca dotarnos. When we heal as a collective, we reinforce the safety nets we have worked hard to build for our communities. We stand today as united front, unbroken and unyielding. Nuestra resiliencia es nuestra respuesta más fuerte. Throughout the conference, I encourage you to lean into the discomfort of the difficult conversations. Share your expertise, challenge the status quo, and let us use this space to forge the strategies necessary to navigate these turbulent times together, ensuring that the voices of our communities are never silenced. Gracias por su compromiso, por su solidaridad profesional y bienvenidos.
Good morning and welcome to the Binational Social Work Conference. It's an honor to have professionals, students, and community leaders from both sides of the border to strengthen collaboration. Today is about building connections sharing knowledge and working together to build stronger and healthier communities. So I'm going to introduce our first speaker today. It's an honor to introduce Marty Sellers, founder and CEO of Marcel Wellness Center. I had the privilege of interning at his agency last year to hone my clinical skills. So he has over 25 years of experience in mental health and leadership. Marty is a strong advocate for trauma-informed care, cultural equity, and access to wellness for vulnerable populations. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Marty Sellers.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, you're fabulous. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, there we go. Again, good morning. How are you? You know, okay, you have to remind me because I have the gift of gab. So, someone give me a timekeeper. Okay, when it's time, just pull me off stage and everything. I am so honored to be here to this amazing committee and to this university. What an honor and privilege. And thank you to Mr. Gomez, who was that way, who was working with us. And I thought he was one of our employees. And until they told me he was an intern, and so I'm trying to steal him back. But he said he's going in a different direction, but in law enforcement, all that, but you always have a job with me as far as I'm concerned with that. And we love this wonderful partnership because that's what it's all about, having great partnerships in community and everything like that. As I was thinking about this today, I want to challenge us and those of us in this profession and those of you desiring to go into this whole thing called human services and social work. I come from a long line of family members who were in human services. My late uncle, Dr. Lee Sellers, was a graduate from, I was going to say Tuskegee, Wilberforce University, a historically Black college and university, and his major was in social work. And so I found myself being drawn to the field. Those of us in this field, we know it's a calling. We don't get in it to get rich. No, but we get it because of our passion and our love for the work that we do. So I just want to challenge you today, and I hope if you leave with nothing else, that the message really is dare to dream. Dare to dream. And before a child becomes undocumented, before they become foster youth, before they become a case file or a court date, before they simply become another number in your caseload, they're a child with a dream. We all have had dreams before, and I just want to make sure that we instill our young people with dreams. Who am I and how did I get here? I still don't know how I got here, but I'm excited to be here with that. Again, my name is Martina Sellers, pero no hablo nada español. That's the best Spanish you're going to get from me. I like to say that I'm Dominican 3 times removed. I don't know, but I'm going with it. It works. But I had the awesome privilege of being a founder and CEO of Marcel Wellness Center. And we just turned 9 years old. And my background is in therapy and social work. And so now changing that to be a CEO, I know how to be a therapist. I know how to be a social worker. I'm still trying to discover how to become a CEO. And so as a result, I'm in my 2nd year and hoping to start my research in organizational leadership, talking about the business acumen of Black male entrepreneurs in Southern California with that. And so I'm also an extreme mental health advocate as a survivor of domestic violence. I grew up in a domestic violent household in the Midwest in Ohio, where mental health in Black communities, as in many of our communities here, in our Hispanic communities and all that, we didn't talk about mental health at all. And so come to find out after going into the MFT program that my father was undiagnosed bipolar. And when I understood the ups and downs of that, my life totally started making sense in that regards. And so I'm a father of three, and I also, my son is here with me today, so I'm grateful for that. And my last child is what I call my bonus daughter. And yes, my son Christian we were 17 at the time, about to graduate from high school. And my cousin was with child and in the process died in the birthing process. And my 10-year-old now, bonus child, entered this world with lots of difficulties. She was addicted to about 4 or 5 different drugs because of her mother. And she had not had they said she had COVID at birth. But to see her now, you would never know all the difficulties. So she didn't have human touch for the first 2 months of her life. And she has impacted my life like crazy. To see her now, that's why I know the power of dreaming and loving, what it can do to change the trajectory of young people. And we get to instill dreams and hope into these young people. And to know her now she's living her best life and lost to be around. And so I'm like, wait a minute, it's supposed to be the other way around. But in that, you know, I've worked with children all my life, and a little bit about who we are as Marcel Wellness Center. You know, our vision was to impact over 1 million lives by the end of last year. And we had the wonderful opportunity. So now you know you have to set crazy new visions. So our vision for the end of 2028 is to impact 3 million lives. I don't know how we're going to do it. I leave it to the team now. And right. And our mission really is to transform lives through the power of wellness. And how do we do that? We heal hearts, we strengthen families, and we grow communities. And we cannot do that in silos, but we have to do that together. And that's where we all work into this and make this together. And how we define wellness is this ideal life between balance and harmony. Now, sometimes we have harmony and no balance, and other times we have balance and no harmony. And so we're trying to find what that means. And we believe that the secret sauce to anything in life is mental health. You put mental health plus any trauma, you put mental health plus any stigma or anything that goes on in life. And we just believe that somehow we're going to achieve the ultimate goal of wellness. And so that's why I love bringing up the whole mental health factor. One of my mantras is this: we have to speak up like we're doing today. We have to speak out so that we can live better lives. So as I say, speak up, speak out, and live, because I just believe the best is still yet to come. I believe in this whole notion of unreasonable hospitality. If you don't have that book, find that book. It's wonderful. Although it's on the hospitality industry, the restaurant industry, I believe that we as social workers, we have the remarkable power of giving our clients and those we serve more than what they ever expected in life. And most of us go to restaurants or frequent things because of how they treat us. You know, Chick-fil-A, what's their famous saying? It's my pleasure, right. We're going to In-N-Out because we will wait 1 hour in line for an In-N-Out burger because they treat us so well. And they sell one thing, burgers, nothing else. And maybe you get a shake with it too. You get an animal style or whatever. People wait in line because of how they make us feel. And so Maya Angelou says it this way: people may forget what you do for them, but they will never forget how you make them feel. And so at Marcel Wellness Center, that's the complicated stuff, but nobody wants to hear that. We believe in the value of being heard. Hope, excellence, accountability, respect, and diversity. So as I said, when I began this organization some 9 years ago, I decided I was going to have a couple of therapists work for us. And I was going to kind of kick back and all that. 9 years later, we are definitely the largest provider of unaccompanied minor services in the state of California. And we're in the top 3 in the nation. And I still don't know how we got there. I think I'm crazy. And I kept saying yes to all these things. So what we get the privilege of doing, all these unaccompanied children that come across the border, I want to change the stigma that they're not criminals, that they're not thieves, that they're not being sexually trafficked and all that. Though there are, yes, there is a percentage of them who have been. But we get the awesome responsibility. We have 9 centers from Montebello down here to San Diego. So we have one in Scripps Ranch, and we have where Mr. Gomez was working at the left exit before you get to Tijuana, right there as well. And in that we've been able to relocate and help successfully reunify over 2,000 children back to a relative caregiver or their parents here in the nation. And what, thank you. We have been able to service from 30 different countries over 5 continents. And let me tell you, I've learned more from them than they could ever give back to me. The gifts and the treasures that these young people have, they have made such an impact in my life. Now, it took me ways and everything else, y'all. Some days I could be geographically challenged. Thank God for ways now. I don't know. You guys are too young for that question. And when we used to pull it out and go, okay, A, and turn the page and do this. Okay, that's how you get there. By the big tree, make a left and go down till you get to the open field and make a right and look for the behind. Y'all know nothing about that. It's amazing to hear these stories of these young people who get here. I remember Ramadan. Ramadan was from Africa. And I looked at him one day and said, Ramadan, you speak such amazing English. Where did you learn it from? He looked at me and said, school? I said, oh, my bad. My monolingual thinking with that. Ramadan knows 6 languages and learning 7. And he's 15 years old. Now, yay tall and everything. And some of the stuff they tell me, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to know that. I don't want to do that. Ramadan, I can't have another little Ramadan and I get in trouble. So please, I know you're an athlete, but no sex for you. I'm that blatant comfortable. No, none of that for you, please. But I looked in his eyes and said, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing fine. I said, no. How are you really doing? And as a tear just kind of hit right here in that corner, he just said, thank you for asking. Because a lot of times people forget that we're human. Because I don't know, there's lots of buses, lots of boats. I said, well, you can't take a bus across the ocean. A couple boat rides, a couple airplane rides, lots of walking. And I said that these young people are experiencing what I like to call the complex trauma. I used to call it triple trauma, but it's more than that now. Trauma from whatever might be going on in their own origin countries. And I can't imagine as a parent having to make the decision to give up my child to someone that I may never meet, in a country I may never go to, in hopes that they might have a better life than what I have. And that's what these children are facing. So I take it very personal that for the world's orphans. So how dare we mistreat and how dare we mishandle such a precious gift? And so not only do they have the trauma from their origin, the trauma from the travel. Then they get here, the trauma from meeting someone that they've never met before. And then the trauma from the experience that they have. Because part of this is we're trying to integrate them into the school systems. And I wish I could say all school systems were opening arms to them. And they're not. And so we have to be the voice for them. We have to be the advocates for them. Talk about getting me mad, like, listen, my kid deserves a right to this education. Don't make me call somebody. I don't even know who I'm going to call, but I'm going to call somebody to make sure they get it. And then all these other things. So we have this wonderful responsibility. Listen, humanity before policy. What happens to a child's mental health when the system forgets how to dream with them? What happens to their mental health? They are humans before we ever even deal with policy. And so often now we get caught up in this policy. And because I'm one of the largest firms and does mental health for these foster kids, can I tell you, I was under attack yesterday from the federal government. And like I said, look, I didn't, that's why I have people who are much smarter than me working for me. I'm just the voice. But we had to take 4 hours and rewrite the whole policy of something on something that they had originally given us permission to do. Then they said, no, we're not going to do it. So we need to fire all these people. I'm not going to fire them. I'm going to find other ways to keep them. Humanity over policy. And that's what we always got to remember with that. Trauma does not end at the border. We often talk about these pre-migration traumas, the violence, the poverty, the loss. But we have to talk about the journey, the dangers, the separation, the survival. But what research is telling us is that what happens after the border may matter even more than what happened during that time. So we have the opportunity to change what the trauma might have been. That's why the work you're doing is so important. So all the study you're doing, it's not all for naught. It really, and you'll get to use it. I promise you, you really will. And then you'll be like, I remember that in that class. Yes. Chase your dreams too. Trace your own passion. Find out what you're going to be the expert in and stand in the crowd. Well, I'm the expert in this. Research says, and my experience says this. Allow what you have not gone through what you've gone through in life for nothing as well. Let your experience be the experience that speaks for those children. Stand in their shoes. Be the advocate that you needed when you were their age. Ooh. That's why I do that. I needed someone to advocate for me. So you know what? I'm going to damn well advocate for these young people. Because since I needed someone then, and I still need someone now. Recent athletic health studies show that post-migration stressors, legal uncertainties, placement instabilities, discrimination, system navigation are often stronger predictors of depression and anxiety than the violence that the youth experienced before migration. So the question is, are we re-traumatizing these children? Because we want policy over the humanity side of that. And so we get to rewrite all of that. Yes, we have to follow policies because that's how we get funded. And unfortunately, no money. We need money in order to do these things. And if those of you are just sharing too, if you have not started your own nonprofit, start it now. See, you're already doing the work. Start it. Don't wait till you get famous and rich and all that. Start it now. And start looking for those grants. Hey, 10,000, 500, every little bit matters. Every little bit matters. Am I doing all right on time? Okay, I just want to make sure. Pull my chain. Pull my chain. And foster care, while saving many, while life-saving in many ways, was not designed with undocumented children in mind. Remember, we have language gaps. That's why I'm so glad we have interpreting services here today. We have cultural mismatches. We have legal limbo. We all know about that. And other things, and constant uncertainties about permanency. The real tension is we call these youth resilience, but resilience without support is not strength, it's survival. A lot of these kids are just trying to survive day in and day out. And one of the strongest signs, I'm preaching to the choir, of depression, especially for young boys, is anger and resistance. I remember one time I had, when I was doing wraparound services, and I was a behavior specialist before I became a therapist, and one of the young men came to me and said something. He was, are you going to diagnose me like everyone else with opposition to the Francis disorder? And he had this whole list. No, I don't even know who you are. Who am I to diagnose you? I said, who are you first? Well, didn't you read my file? No, I didn't want to read the file because I know that we're trained especially for Medi-Cal billing, to always write to the negative so that we can get funding. I'm not gonna read your Medi-Cal billing charts. I wanna know, who are you and why did you give me such resistance? And when I heard his story, I understood why. He thought his father had died 10 years ago in war. But his father started a whole new life in Germany and started a whole new family. And then decided to show up in his son's life 10 years later when he was dying of cancer. I said, you know what? You have every right to be angry. Angry at the system, angry at everyone else. Give them permission to be angry. It's okay. We all have been angry. And anger has its purpose. Once we discover the anger and get on their level and give them permission to be angry, oh, we were able to change that thing all around. Unfortunately, he took a bus from Ontario, California to San Francisco and jumped off of the Golden Gate Bridge because he just felt that no one loved him. The power of love, of hearing the stories. When his mother called me, I said, he did it, didn't he? She just cried. We can change, what we do is such life-saving. You never underestimate your power and what your purpose is in the lives of these children. And keeping the dream alive. I want to make sure I'm getting to the right people. So here's what I know. Hold the dream. Our role is to help these children hold the dream. I say it this way. We're to see the treasure in them and water it and nurture it and help pull the weeds out so that they have hope in what they're doing. This is where we come in. Social workers are not just the service providers, but you are the bridge between the system and the soul in everything we do. Be that bridge so they can cross over and leave the system behind, but chase the soul of their hearts and dreams. Just imagine if someone had supported you and said you can do it, and provided you with the resources and the necessary steps to treat the dream, where you would be today. You never know when you're in a grocery store and someone comes to you, do you remember me? You helped me when I was hurting. A lot of times we might forget them. We'll remember the stories, but you make life-changing goals. I'm gonna rush to the end. I wanna challenge you in this. Every undocumented mind you serve is daring to dream in a world that keeps telling them not to. Stability heals, culture protects, hope regulates, and future orientations save lives. And what I want you to do is dare to dream with your clients. Dare to challenge systems that confuse compliance with care. And dare to hold hope with youth, when youth cannot. Because when systems forget children's humanity, social workers and those of us in the health and human services field are often the last line of remembrance. But we can definitely do that. Thank you for just listening to my story a little bit and challenging our young people to dare to dream and watch those dreams come true. In this, my challenge, I want you to write down your dreams in the profession. Not where you see yourself now, but where you see yourself 10 years from now. And the number of lives you're going to change because you entered their lives and gave them permission to dream, to soar, and to live. It makes a difference. Thank you so much for this.
My children's book too. I'm also a children's book author. And I have this another book. It's called Chris is Sad.
And my dream is that over the next 10 years to release 2 books. And this is a loose book that talks about, not loose on my son's Christian here, on children surviving divorce and what it looks like in there. And then it also has a cover that comes along with it so that you can make it a part of your life and everything. And this is how we dream. Is you're never too young or too old to dream. Keep dreaming, keep promoting mental health, keep changing the system, keep defying the system, and keep making sure that these children have the seed of hope to survive. The audacity of hope is the audacity to live. Thank you.
Buenos días.
Buenos días. Nuestro siguiente orador es Alex Luisán, un migrante haitiano, llegó a México con el sueño americano sin hablar español. Ahora es abogado con licencia en México y se graduó con honores de la Universidad Autónoma de Baja California, Campus Tijuana. Se especializa en migración internacional, habiéndose graduado del college. También completó un programa de investigación sobre igualdad de género en la Universidad de País Vasco, España. Es traductor e intérprete certificado de español francés Fiol, acreditado por el Consejo de la Judicatura de Baja California. Ha sido voluntario en varias organizaciones enfocadas en temas de migración y asilo. Trabajó como asistente de protección e intérprete para la agencia de ACNUR. También fue coordinador del asilo del Comité de Estados Unidos para Refugiados e Inmigrantes y también trabajó en el área de Derecho Penal en la Comisión de Derechos Humanos del Estado de Baja California. Actualmente es estudiante de maestría en Derecho en Estados Unidos en la Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad de San Diego y pasante legal en el proyecto de justicia migratoria de la ABAS. A continuación, dale.
Muchísimas gracias y buenos días a todos, a todas y a todos que se encuentran aquí. Me siento muy emocionado de poder estar aquí con ustedes el día de hoy. Sin más preámbulo, vamos a iniciar, pero les solo quiero avisar, todo lo que voy a decir aquí es con el fin educativo, no tiene un fin político, es con fin solamente informativo. Y yo soy testigo de la migración, así que son testimonios reales y con base a lo que visto que está pasando desde 2016 que emigré de mi país hasta ahora. A continuación, vamos a ver qué es una persona migrante, qué espera cuando una persona se migra de su país a otro, quién puede ser una persona migrante, la esperanza de las personas migrantes, los derechos y obligaciones de las personas migrantes, también algunos cambios que estamos viendo ahora en sistemas migratorios en varios países. Iniciamos de qué es una persona migrante, qué es migrar, es básicamente salir de un estado a otro, salir de una ciudad a otra, salir de un país a otro, o puede ser solamente pues salir de un municipio a otro municipio. Y eso es con fin de que la persona tiene la esperanza de quedarse quizás permanentemente en el otro municipio o país donde se encuentra migrando. Y obviamente basa en el tiempo que la persona se está quedando, cuánto tiempo se queda. Podemos tomar solamente un ejemplo, las personas que solamente cruzan la frontera y vengan aquí a trabajar y luego regresan. Entonces no podemos considerar esta persona como una persona migrante, de acuerdo a quizás nuestro objetivo. Si estamos haciendo una investigación, obviamente vamos a categorizar conforme al tiempo la persona está quedando y al objetivo también. Continuamos de motivos de la migración. Los motivos son a veces sencillos y son motivos a veces muy complicados o difíciles de entender, sobre todo si no estamos en el tema o si no conocemos el tema migratorio, solamente escuchamos y no sabemos. Son motivos familiares, educativos, económicos. Esos motivos, digamos, familiares, educativos, económicos, obviamente es un tipo de migración totalmente distinto al motivo político. El motivo político, cuando una persona migra por cuestión políticas, obviamente ya no es una persona migrante y estamos hablando de otra categoría. Es una persona que puede ser considerada como una persona refugiada y eso tiene otra categoría. Ahí vamos a ver si es, digamos, un niño o una niña o un adolescente, ya todavía el caso se vuelve peor, ¿no? La situación muy precable o la situación de la persona muy vulnerable. La persona nunca es vulnerable, pero su situación puede ser vulnerable. Y motivos políticos, libertad, seguridad, la vida, obviamente los 4 últimos, la persona está buscando una protección. Y cuando la persona migra por motivos políticos o motivos de libertad, la vida, está buscando básicamente protección internacional. Y la protección internacional básicamente es el asilo o en algunos países lo llamamos el refugiado o el refugio. Continuamos con quién puede ser una persona migrante. Como les venía diciendo, estamos viendo, digamos, solo mujeres pueden ser migrantes, solo hombres, solo niñas, niños y adolescentes, solo personas sin discapacidad, solo jóvenes, solo personas que no tienen dinero. Y la respuesta correcta es cualquier persona. No importa que si tenga dinero o no tenga dinero, o es niña, niño, adolescente, o es una persona con discapacidad. Y hemos visto, y conforme al pase del tiempo, muchas personas emigran y por diferentes motivos. Y hay aún personas con discapacidad física, digamos, lamentablemente esa persona no puede moverse por sí sola, necesita ayuda de un tercero o una tercera y tiene que migrar y le están ayudando para migrar. Obviamente preguntan, ¿por qué esta persona necesita migrar? Si quizás lamentablemente su situación no le permite moverse por sí sola y necesita migrar. Y a veces son más los motivos de vida o libertad. Esa persona necesita simplemente una libertad, necesita simplemente una vida, necesita seguridad. Y es una persona, podemos considerar como una persona refugiada. Ya no es una persona sencillamente migrante. Los motivos de migración, por ejemplo, educativos, se ve totalmente distinto a una persona que está migrando, solamente llega, digamos, quizás a Tapachula, quiere ingresar a México y está buscando la vida. Y obviamente no es lo mismo si esa persona buscara de ingresar a México con una visa de estudiante y quiere hacer una maestría en una universidad. Obviamente la sociedad misma lo ve totalmente distinto y lo aplausan y a veces tenemos estigmas sociales y pues están contra y rechazando a muchas personas que están solamente llegando a las fronteras. No estoy mencionando, digamos, solamente a México o a otros países, no quiero ser específico en este tema porque les mencioné que no tiene fin político lo que estoy presentando, es solamente educativo y con fin informativo. Esperanza de la migración, ¿qué espera la persona? La persona está esperando admisión, documentación, hogar, educación, seguridad, no devolución. Obviamente las personas que migran tienen la esperanza de donde cuando llegan en el país receptor que el gobierno mismo le va a admitir. La admisión es un concepto más objetivo, un concepto legal que el gobierno mismo acepta a la persona y le da la bienvenida. Y tenemos, si yo considero, hay dos admisiones o hay dos formas de bienvenidas que el gobierno mismo te da la bienvenida, pero la sociedad falta que la sociedad te da la otra bienvenida, porque si la sociedad no está diciendo vénganse, entonces si te dicen no, pues váyanse a su país, ya es un problema, es un conflicto en la sociedad. Y imagínense si es una persona, niña, niño, adolescente no acompañado, todavía la situación es peor, que les está diciendo regresa a su país, ¿no? Y a veces donde pasamos, nosotros no queremos regresar. Yo he pasado en camino que yo no quiero volver a pasar a este camino. ¿Por qué? Porque tengo mi razón personal. Y como eso no es parte de la presentación, no les puedo explicar, pero mi historia está muy pública y pueden ver mi historia en redes sociales. Y estoy muy orgulloso de mi pasado. Obviamente la persona espera encontrar documentación y el gobierno no solamente admite a la persona, sino le da una documentación. ¿Qué documentación? Documentación, algún documento de identidad del país receptor, algún documento de trabajo, porque no solamente admite a la persona, le da la bienvenida y luego le dejan sin poder apoyarse por sí mismo. Entonces estaría siempre viviendo conforme al apoyo de la sociedad civil, ¿no? Las organizaciones sin fin de lucro que apoyan a las personas, ustedes como trabajadores y trabajadores sociales que apoyan a las personas, pero pues ¿por cuánto tiempo pueden hacerlo? La persona por sí misma necesita salir adelante por sí misma, no esperar más apoyo, digamos, de la sociedad, que sea un apoyo permanente. Necesita la persona por sí misma apoyarse. El hogar, la educación es muy importante por el hecho de que el gobierno me admitió y me aceptó y me dio, digamos, el derecho, me hizo valer mi derecho a la educación. Hoy puedo estar aquí con ustedes. Si no, no sabría decirles qué hubiera pasado, porque sin la educación, pues, ¿qué haría yo acá? Y no solamente la educación en mi caso, ¿no? Porque cuando son niños, niñas, y hablamos de la educación, no solamente les digamos, no, pues tiene el derecho a la educación, pues hay que facilitar, no solamente con los documentos, sino aceptar los grados de estudios que han tenido en su país de origen y cómo pueden continuar con la educación. Es una educación continua, no una educación que yo te doy la admisión, pero pues puedes estudiar y luego, pues, de acuerdo a nuestro país, hay tal cosa y a veces es totalmente difícil, las personas no pueden realmente acceder a la educación. No puedo desarrollar todo solamente el concepto aquí, pero les doy solamente una idea. La seguridad, el derecho a la no devolución. La no devolución es más para personas, obviamente migrantes, pero las personas refugiadas o personas solicitantes de asilo, esta persona es un principio, el derecho a el principio a la no devolución es un principio, digamos, internacional que está en las leyes y los países han convenido a aceptar este principio de decir, bueno, de acuerdo a nuestros criterios, hay forma donde podemos devolver a la persona a su país y hay maneras de hacerlo, pero a veces no se está respetando el derecho a la no devolución de las personas y las personas obviamente cuando están en el país tienen miedo de regresar a su país de origen y eso es el derecho a la no devolución que el gobierno debe respetar en algún momento. Llegamos a los derechos de las personas, no solamente migran y no tienen derechos, sí tienen derecho. Uno de los derechos son derecho a la educación, derecho a la unidad familiar, vivienda, alimentación, trabajo, no ser discriminada. La persona busca a no ser discriminada, busca no solamente el gobierno le acepta, como mencioné anteriormente, sino también la sociedad, ¿no? Evitando estigmas sociales, evitando como prejuicios, evitando muchas cosas de que la persona categorizando a la persona básicamente como una persona mala, que no viene a aportar nada, es totalmente difícil. Pero las personas sí tienen derecho a no ser discriminadas, derecho a la unidad familiar, tienen que estar juntos, sobre todo si son niños, niñas, adolescentes, obviamente junto con la familia es lo ideal y es el derecho a la unidad familiar, ¿no? La alimentación, el trabajo, eso ya mencioné anteriormente que el gobierno obviamente no solamente admitir a la persona, sino darle una facilidad para que pueda trabajar por sí misma y no está esperando ayuda de las organizaciones de manera permanente. Sí, las ayudas de las organizaciones son muy importantes, cada uno psicológico, la ayuda psicológica es totalmente importante. Nuestro compañero, colega, habla de el trauma que las personas han vivido desde el país de origen, en el camino y hasta cuando llegan. Entonces, la ayuda de ustedes como trabajadoras y trabajadores sociales es muy importante, sobre todo la ayuda psicológica. Continuamos. Volvimos al derecho a la no devolución, que la persona tiene el derecho a la no devolución. Obligaciones, ahora sí, no porque es persona migrante o es una persona que necesita protección internacional en su concepto, que es refugiado o ser reconocido como asilado, quiere decir que la persona no tiene obligaciones. Obviamente sí tienen obligaciones, no porque es migrante o porque es persona de color, llega a un país, le van a dar todo y no está respetando. Y esa obligación no es que yo lo estoy poniendo, es un respetar, es una obligación jurídica que las personas tienen de acuerdo a muchos países, ¿no? Que dicen respetar. ¿Qué es respetar? Respetar las leyes del país, respetar, digamos, la cultura, porque también tenemos cultura distinta, pero yo no puedo venir a imponer la mía encima de la tuya. Hay forma de hacerla, hay forma de respetar y hay forma de entender nuestra cultura con mi cultura. Entonces, es muy importante esta obligación que las personas tienen, ¿no? Registrarse ante las autoridades competentes en caso de que les dan algún permiso, en caso de estar en algún proceso, obviamente tienen que pasar de una forma, pues, registrar, ¿no? Hacer saber que estoy aquí en el país y quizás estoy buscando algún beneficio. Eso es muy importante. Y cuando te dan algún beneficio o cuando está en un proceso, obviamente hay ciertas visitas o citas periódicas que la persona puede tener en calidad de persona migrante o en calidad de persona solicitante de refugio o asilo. Entonces tiene que empezar o estar registrándose y renovar sus permisos a tiempo. Si te dan algún permiso, es una obligación para que usted misma vaya a renovar sus permisos. Continuamos a respetar los cambios de domicilio, a reportar los cambios de domicilio, trabajo, nacionalidad. Muchos países te dan algún beneficio. Obviamente, cuando estás moviendo, el gobierno quiere saber dónde se encuentra. A veces difícilmente las personas pueden respetar esta sencilla obligación de cambiar de domicilio. O ustedes pueden enterarse por ahí o no sé, de alguna u otra manera muchas personas migran, están rentando casas, están rentando departamentos, obviamente suelen cambiar de domicilio y cuando cambian de domicilio es difícil a que ellos mismos cambian de hacer saber al gobierno porque no saben si el otro domicilio que van a estar cuánto tiempo, es como de manera temporal, cada vez están cambiando de domicilio y el gobierno quiere saber. Y hay países donde los cambios de domicilio no es tan sencillo para una persona que ni siquiera sabe leer, porque cuando estamos hablando de una persona migrante, una persona solicitante de refugio o asilo, estamos hablando de una multitud de personas mixta. ¿De quién estamos hablando? ¿Qué tipo de persona? Niño, niña, adolescente, persona que sabe leer, que no sabe leer, persona que sabe escribir, persona con alguna discapacidad visual, persona con... O sea, hay muchísimas personas que estamos hablando de una solo categoría de persona migrante o persona refugiada. Y es difícil a veces que pueden, obviamente, respetar lo que el gobierno está diciendo o cumplir ellos con sus obligaciones por sí mismos si no tienen ayuda de ustedes que están aquí, de mi ayuda, que dar información, apoyarles, a decir qué hacer. Y es muy importante eso. Continuamos con algunas barreras migratorias, que es lo que nosotros llamamos, o yo mismo llamo a las barreras migratorias, que es algo discrecional, que voy a explicar más adelante, lingüística, laboral, educativa, gastronómica, cultural, entre otras. Son barreras que venía platicando o diciendo a ustedes. Obviamente la cultura es muy importante y abarca todo, ¿no? barrera educativa. Yo he sufrido con una barrera educativa cuando llegué a México, tuve que hacer el esfuerzo de poder hablar español y para luego entrar a la universidad. Me costó 2 años para poder hacerlo. Es muy difícil, aunque ustedes no creen. Es una barrera que puede, digamos, hacer que una persona no llegue a cumplir su sueño en un tiempo récord, que la persona diría, no, pues en 2 años quiero ser esto, quiero ser licenciado, quiero ser enfermero, quiero ser enfermera, pero si no habla el idioma, pues obviamente ponle 2 años más para hablar el idioma, para hacer, y pues si fuera en su país de origen o en algún país donde la persona hubiera hablado el idioma, pues obviamente más fácil ya pudiera acceder a la educación. Ahí está el derecho a la educación, pero ya es un esfuerzo personal que cada persona migrante o persona solicitante de algún beneficio tiene que hacer por sí misma, y no es algo que el gobierno te puede dar la facilidad. Las organizaciones también te dan la facilidad, dar clases de español, de inglés o de lo que sea, pero el aprendizaje corresponde, pues digamos, al tutor o la tutora que te está enseñando, pues un buen aprendizaje, un buen proceso, buenos métodos, pero al final de cuentas corresponde a ti misma de aprender, de hacer el esfuerzo de hablar. Y eso es muy importante, y hasta aquí me está costando, digamos, para venir a hacer una maestría en inglés. Entonces también es una barrera para mí de digamos, confrontar con este objetivo y yo lo que quiero hacer, y a veces es complicadísimo, pero estoy en camino. Digamos, barrera laboral, a veces las personas por su situación de ser una persona migrante o en situación digamos, de calle a veces, entonces le ofrecen cualquier precio, le hacen cualquier oferta para trabajar encima de las personas, o sea, si hubiera sido una persona nacional del país, ¿no? Entonces, la oferta no es la misma, a veces hay discriminación, y obviamente pues hay convenciones al respecto. ¿Por qué hay convenciones? Porque tuvieron que hacer una convención sobre no discriminación de trabajo, de no sé qué. Es porque algo había pasado, y es porque algo está pasando, y es porque algo puede pasar en el futuro y quieren prever eso. Pero sigue siendo algo muy difícil para las personas y una barrera cuando llegan al país receptor. Continuamos con algunas acciones que pueden afectar a los migrantes y a las migrantes. Obviamente el coyote es muy difícil. Yo les pongo como acciones, no estaba buscando como algún título especialmente para ponerlo, pero cuando una persona migra y luego tiene que pagar algún coyote para entrar en el país donde quiere llegar, a veces paga el dinero o da el dinero, no llega a su objetivo, le regresan, tiene que pagar de nuevo, ya el dinero se acabó. Es muy complicadísimo lo que es el coyote, y a veces cuando las políticas es difícil de entender, o la discreción del gobierno, y hay maneras como esta discreción lo que hace es favorecer a los coyotes. Cuando las fronteras están, digamos, cerradas, obviamente hay un grupo que sí, pues felicidades, muchas gracias porque la frontera está cerrada, porque yo estoy ganando. Entonces, de esa manera, para los coyotes o para las personas que se dedican a eso, buscan de ganar dinero pues sobre las personas en situación de vulnerabilidad, que es personas que están migrando, ¿no? Las personas migrantes. Los cambios en las políticas migratorias, también todo deriva de este cambio. Las personas obviamente pues se quedan al aire, se quedan como sin algún amparo, no pueden como avanzarse, y pues estas políticas, digamos, depende de qué gobierno está ahora y está el otro, entonces suelen cambiarse, y a veces los cambios no están tan buenos para las personas que están migrando, perdón. La discreción del gobierno receptor es lo que venía diciendo, le vamos a ver más adelante. No tener acceso a la documentación es una barrera, a no tener acceso a la documentación. Obviamente, los cambios de gobierno y la discreción del gobierno receptor, podemos ver también algunas barreras en la pandemia. Ya hubo algún motivo, digamos, específico que cada gobierno puede decir, bueno, pues por este motivo, aunque existen convenciones, aunque existen las leyes, pero yo no puedo aceptar a esa persona a venir acá a poner en riesgo la salud pública, a poner en riesgo la solidaridad, la seguridad pública, ¿no? No podemos hacerlo, no solamente en la pandemia, pero hay momentos que el gobierno mismo diga, no, pues en este momento no queremos que personas vengan o entran por razones de seguridad pública y a veces es muy difícil de entender cuando esas políticas, nosotros como que dedicamos a hacer los trabajos sociales, estamos preguntando si es cierto, no es cierto, o qué está pasando, es por este o es por otro, entonces no sabemos realmente qué es, pero es una discreción que el gobierno busca a veces para, digamos, una excusa para buscar cerrar frontera o cerrar puertas para las personas migrantes. No tener acceso a la documentación, las enfermedades que he venido mencionando, seguridad nacional, que eso es motivo o son las acciones que también pueden afectar a las personas que están migrando. Algunos cambios desde el año 2025 y antes del 22 de julio de 2025, vimos algunas suspensiones a personas de algunos países, esas aplican excepciones y esas suspensiones eh, digamos, hablando de algunos países o de este país, obviamente que el gobierno pone suspensiones y buscan razones y obviamente buscan una forma legal, un vacío en la ley o algo para, digamos, hacerlo y a veces están digamos, en su derecho de buscar cómo jugar con esas políticas migratorias. Y obviamente nosotros preguntamos por qué existen las fronteras, porque todo, pues si existen las fronteras, si aceptamos de alguna manera u otra que existen las fronteras, aunque estemos de acuerdo que no debía de existir fronteras, pero de alguna u otra manera le estamos respetando porque tenemos que respetarlo. Si vamos a México, sabemos, por ejemplo, hay que llevar documentación. Si estamos entrando aquí, hay que llevar documentación. Pues es una forma de aceptar y acceder a las políticas que el gobierno nos está poniendo, ¿de acuerdo? Obviamente, las suspensiones de algunos países aplican excepciones. El gobierno pues pone suspensiones como algunos cambios en las políticas migratorias y eso, como les venía mencionando, corresponde a cada gobierno y en cierto momento el gobierno busca de de cambiar como las políticas migratorias o de ajustar las políticas migratorias. Continuamos. Ok, continuamos del 22 de julio de 2025. Estamos viendo también el costo en el sistema humanitario. Básicamente, el asilo es una protección internacional que la persona está buscando y eso deriva desde la Convención de 1951, que las personas huyen por buscar la vida, la libertad, porque su vida pues, se corrió peligro en el país, están buscando seguridad y esas personas cuando llegan en el país receptor les dan una bienvenida y una protección. No es lo que esta persona está buscando como al principio, pero una protección más amplia, una protección desde la recepción, que no te voy a recibir como una persona migrante porque el motivo que me está diciendo que salió de su país de origen es totalmente distinta a una persona que solamente migra por motivos educativos o que está buscando de reunir con su familia. Si la persona me dice, no, tengo temor de regresar a mi país porque si regreso el día de hoy me van a matar o me van a hacer daño, obviamente es distinto y poner el costo ya es como, digamos, va en contra de la ley o no va en contra de la ley o cómo está el sistema. Creo que es la primera vez que hemos visto eso desde mi entender jurídico. Y obviamente aumento en el costo de las visas de inmigrantes y no inmigrantes, eso todavía pues es distinto al costo al servicio humanitario porque las visas obviamente hay países que ajustan el precio cada año conforme al año fiscal, ¿no? Y eso nosotros solamente estamos accediendo y aceptando sin dar cuenta, sin hacer nada. Pero el costo en el sistema humanitario es algo precario y distinto y es algo preocupante que estamos viendo ahora y no sabemos qué va a pasar. Y recientemente suspensión de visas de no inmigrantes para 75 países. Creo que hasta ahí llega mi presentación. Guardé un momento para si tienen algunas preguntas. Creo que tengo solamente unos 2 minutos y no sé si aceptamos preguntas o no. Depende del público si tienen preguntas. Y muchas gracias por su atención. Muchas gracias. De bien.
Please welcome our new speaker.
Muchas gracias.
She's an EMDR therapist, podcaster, and speaker from Burbank, California, who has a master's in clinical psychology from Pepperdine University. Yeah, please give it up for Adriana. I'm so clumsy, I'm so sorry. I almost ate it over there. I've been dropping things and I ate my lotion, my bottle. Okay, hold on. Okay. Buenos días, ¿cómo estamos?
Sorry.
Buenos días. Okay, bueno, today, towards the second half of this presentation, we will have a somatic collective technique where we are going to have to shift around a little bit, just giving you some emotional somatic preparation. Today, we're going to be talking about healing at the crossroads, social work practice in immigrant communities. I don't know why the slides look like this. I don't know if there's any tech support. But in the meantime, I want to give a land acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge that this center and San Diego State University, your campus is on the traditional and unceded territory of the Kumeyaat people. Prior to colonization and park development, this area where the centro is at was home to the Kumeyaat people, to the villages, the communities, including Hattem's village. They're overlapping. All right, and you can find where your land is from, who it belongs to at nativeland.ca. So where it began, I'm gonna go briefly just because of time, and I know you all also need a break. But my name is Alejandre, and I became a mom my first year of college, and that's really where my platform started, that I'll talk about in a moment. I became a single mom actually at 19. I had religious Catholic parents, so as you can imagine how upset they were. I do live life with anxiety, with traumas, and ADHD. I learned about mental health at 19 years old when I had my son, and I was struggling with postpartum depression, but nobody knew. I didn't know. I just know that I was failing in class and my classes. I was about to be put on academic probation. I got the letter. I was going to UC Santa Barbara at the time, and I knew that I was just a big disappointment to my friends, to my family, my parents. I remember that when I was pregnant, they didn't want any of the neighbors to know, so they would pull up the car always to the very front of the house so nobody would see me. So it was very complicated, but I had a professor, a clinical psychology professor for my abnormal psych class, and he was somebody that when I went to office hours for the first time, I was just asking him the questions of what I needed to know, and then he's like, hold on. How are you? He looked me dead in the eye, and I was like, fine, thank you. You? And he's like, no. How are you? And that's like when you know you're gonna cry, like you're seen, you feel it in the soul. I don't remember, if I cried at this point, but I do remember feeling validated. I do remember telling him my story, that I was going through a terrible breakup, just all the toxicness, what I was going through with my family. And he said, words I'll never forget. It's no wonder you feel that way, right? I felt very validated. And at that time, he encouraged me to go visit the counseling center. And that is what motivated me to become a therapist. I do have more to that story, but again, due to time, it is on my first trailer on my podcast, Latinx Therapy. I became a trauma therapist in the state of California, and I founded Latinx Therapy. Raise your hand if you've heard of Latinx Therapy.
like a quarter of you here. Latinx Therapy is a bilingual podcast. One of our first episodes, When a Chancla Crosses the Line. So we're talking about taboo topics in a very digestible way. I talk with not just Latina mental health professionals, but also activists, people that have a story to tell in the community across the nation, not just California focused. And it's also a national directory. 98% of our therapists speak Spanish. We have one of our therapists on the directory here, so yapa. And so, yeah, that was founded in 2018 to help others create accessibility. So we're going to slow down a little bit and do Wu breathing. Raise your hand if you've heard of this technique. 10% of you, okay. So what it is it's just regular deep breathing, but the cool thing is that since there are some of you here in person, our nervous system is going to feel the regulation through co-regulation. At least that's the goal. So I'm gonna say the instructions first, and then we're gonna try it all together. We are going to inhale so slowly in through the nose if you're able to. You're gonna hold that breath for about 3 seconds, and then when you exhale, you're going to say the word Vu until your breath runs out. So instead of just doing exhale, we're saying the word Vu. You might notice a vibration or a sensation around your mouth. That is normal. All right, so let's wiggle it out and get ready. All right, so get in your rest mode position. You can lower your eye gaze or close your eyes. I'm gonna lower it just so that I'm not like creepy looking at you. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and let's do a collective breath in through the nose slowly. Hold that breath. 1, 2, 3, and out. Beautiful. One more time. Inhale. Hold that breath. And exhale. Beautiful. Thank you. Were you able to tune into others around you? Wasn't that kind of cool? All right, everyone. And sorry, my presentation doesn't have animations. So our goal for today is to understand how border realities, immigration enforcement, acculturation, tension, and community trauma shape mental health and the communities that social workers serve. Immigration is a daily life, not a theoretical topic or something that we can learn from textbooks. It's a lived experience. So many border town students and clients are navigating multiple worlds, right? There's home versus culture. Home culture versus US systems. The languages, Spanish versus English, and not just Spanish, but there's also different dialects for some. Collective values versus individual expectations. For many, immigration stress is constant. It's not just episodic, it is a daily experience. This includes fear, hypervigilance, and planning for worst case scenarios. Asking someone to, for example, to relax or to self-care is quite invalidating. Have you ever felt that before? Yeah. So there's multiple roles that folks that are living in border towns and grew up in border towns experience. Let me know if you've resonated with being the translator of your family. Yeah, many of us. Translator of legal documents, ordering pizza, making appointments, translating what doctors say or what teachers say, translating your own homework, being the advocate for your family, right? Being the protector as well. And emotional support for parents. And that's something I grew up with. I remember from a very young age. My mom is de Guatemala, or was, I don't know. I'm still learning how to adapt to grief. And my father is from Guadalajara, Mexico. And I remember from a very young age, as young as 5, when I'd be in the car, my mom would tell me all her traumas. And I learned how to talk non-verbally. I would just turn my shoulder and my back towards her and look out the window because I didn't know how to say, I don't want to hear this. That doesn't sound good. I was just 5, and it continued until I was older. But I think the expectation there was for me to be an emotional support for her, right? There's associated tensions for border town students. There's guilt. There's a lot of pressure within your family, pressure within work, for your own identities, and confusion about systems as well. And I do have a note on that, and I'm sorry, one moment. So I do want to say that many immigrant clients hold responsibility beyond their developmental stages. And maybe that's because we were exposed to trauma from a very young age. Language brokering, as we are talking about Spanish versus English, advocacy and emotional caretaking are common roles starting from youth ages. And border town individuals often switch languages, not just to stay safe, but to also be understood. And these are often framed as resilience, but as we heard from our previous speaker, that resilience carries a cost. Systems frequently force an either-or choice, and I think although we don't adopt the words for that or even the emotions until someone else tells us, you're living in a system, your identities, you have to choose between them, right? It's something that is rather felt. Are you from here or from there? Are you more of a traditional type of American immigrant, or are you more modern, right? Do you primarily speak Spanish or English? And especially during these times where our identities are under attack due to the current administration, many people are afraid to be speaking Spanish in public, but it's also an act of resistance. So the goal is not integration into one dominant culture, right? We don't want to assimilate, but it's permission to hold multiple identities without the hierarchy. So you don't have to be less of one culture to be more of another culture. Okay. And I do have ADHD, so sometimes I get distracted by like little movements out there, so I apologize for that in advance. As social workers, we're often in the middle of working within Latina families, like the previous speaker also mentioned, right? Actually, I think it was the second to last speaker. They mentioned how you are part of the system, but you are also resisting the system and accessing your client's soul, right? You are that bridge, you are that connection. And I think it's also important to really hone in that we are part of a system, a harmful system. So many social workers and community-based settings are forced to do mandated reporting, right? It is just something that's so complicated with some supervisors that are not part of our culture and don't understand nuances and are very textbook-like. I've been in that position before. It's very heartbreaking when there isn't any nuance. So a little bit moreover, I want to hear from you. What are some other associated tensions or even roles that you've had to balance? And I'll take 1 to 2 people, if anybody would like to share. The question is, what are some other associated tensions if you grew up in a border town, bicultural, that you've had to hold? Yes, over there. Being in charge of your siblings, yes. Are you the eldest? Raise your hand if you're the eldest here. About 10% of you. Yes, you've had a lot to hold on to. Thank you. Anything else? Yes. We'll get into that. You want to say that again? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's an investment of time to cross over, right? And it's something that I think employers, friends maybe take for granted, even other relatives that don't have to do that. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And the lack of sleep in youth. One more person. Yes, back there. Yep, navigating the system that wasn't created for you. And I know that that's something that we'll be talking about shortly. So there's border-specific stressors. And these are general ones. I'm going to go into specific ones in a moment. So there's deportation fear for many of our families. Raise your hand if you're from a mixed status family. Okay. Violent ICE raids that are currently happening, but we know that ICE raids have happened with previous administrations as well. Family separation, the bicultural conflict of no soy ni de aquí ni de allá, not from here, neither from there, and acculturation stress. So all of these roles that we're talking about are survival strategies. They're not personality traits. We and clients may feel pressure, guilt, and confusion navigating systems that we also didn't even choose. Borderlanders face identity concerns, challenging socioeconomic and environmental conditions, vulnerability to trauma, to stress, substance abuse disorders. There's a lot of research in that too, depression and other psychiatric disorders, including or as well as multiple barriers in accessing treatment, whether it's medical or for mental health. There's discriminatory experiences as well for folks from border towns, widespread poverty, high outcomes for youth that do develop alcohol and other substance use disorders. In terms of the vulnerability to trauma, there's kidnappings, there's domestic violence, cartel and government corruption, multiple barriers to obtaining and needing this treatment for, again, medical and mental health. And I think the thing is also that people that are not from border towns make light of most of these situations, like the cartel situation, the kidnapping. Sometimes there's so many different jokes in American culture as to why they wouldn't dare cross, right? How many of you have experienced that from people in the community or in media? Yeah. Yeah, and it's a very serious lived experience, but again, there's humor that masks the seriousness of it. So in terms of the bicultural conflict, I want you to know that your adaptability is a form of resilience, and you shouldn't have to choose one culture, one tradition over the other. How many of you here have heard of epigenetics? Raise your hand, epigenetics. Many of you. Bueno, okay, cool. So in border community, chronic stressors such as immigration uncertainty, family separation, economic hardships, all of the things that I mentioned and that are on this slide can biologically embed themselves. Over time, this stress can influence how genes related to stress response, inflammation, and mental health are expressed. And there's also a lot of research on how folks from border towns have increased rates of inflammation and actually die from inflammation-related diseases that go untreated. So epigenetics is the study of how environment affects the way genes function without changing the DNA themselves. And we're talking about how those conditions shape biology today. And so what does acculturation mean? It's cultural modification of an individual, group, or people by adopting to or borrowing traits from another culture. In terms of collective trauma is intergenerational. It's something that we experienced during the pandemic as well, with all the health disparities for marginalized community. It refers to the psychological, emotional, and social wounds that result from a shared experience of adversity, of troubles, of pain or loss, and it affects the same group of people, community, or an entire society. And when we experience collective trauma, like what we're experiencing with witnessing the ICE raids, experiencing the ICE raids, the socio-political climate of being in border towns, there's a shared sense of helplessness, vulnerability, and a common grief, anticipatory grief or direct grief. There's a lot of family separation, as we know, that is happening. And even though for some of us it's not happening directly to our family, we still feel this collective grief and this helplessness. And many times we're not talking about the collective grief. We're talking about the anger that is part of the collective grief, which is valid, but nonetheless, we are experiencing a collective trauma. I know that for myself, I experienced when the ICE raid started early last year, nightmares and resurfacing of old trauma that I had. And then I was doing support groups for students in the Pasadena area that experienced not just the ice raids, but also the wildfires. And the teachers from the activities that I and my co-facilitator were doing started crying because they're like, we're getting flashbacks. Well, this one teacher specifically was getting flashbacks of when her father got deported when she was 10. So this is what's happening when we witness and are experiencing a collective trauma. There's a resurfacing, not just of new PTSD experiences, but past wounds as well. Oh, one moment. I want you to know the @ for this slide because this is a quote from them. I'm almost there. One moment. Slide. It's not sliding. Okay, well, I will figure this out. Yes, it's sliding. Okay. This is from Love and Justice LLC. I really like their content that they posted. It actually came up as a sponsored ad, and I was like, okay, this hits. Untreated trauma becomes a tool of social control. It's designed to make us struggle with connection. It manufactures disconnection and alienation from ourselves, our communities, and nature. It convinces us that failure is an individual flaw of an outcome of intentionally designed systems of dehumanization. That's what happens with untreated trauma. And it's out of our control due to a lot of accessibility barriers. So now we're going to go into briefly and quickly the impact of chronic stress on the nervous system. Well, chronic stress on the nervous system, trauma, anxiety, depression, well, these are survival characteristics. And as a community, we end up having challenges with rest. How many of you are at the point where you know how to rest? You've adopted it, you're good, you're there. Not many. How many of you struggle with rest? Okay, so many of us. We need to work on that together, not just alone. How many of us feel guilt when we're not being productive? Right? Because we live in a capitalistic society that says your worth is based on how much you do. Our families grew up that way. That's generational as well. Si no sacudas, if you don't sweep, you can't go out. Right? You can't go with your cousins, you can't do anything, right? All right. Feeling on edge even when you know you are physically safe, but yet you're still on edge. You're still like, I don't know if I'm actually safe, right? And survival characteristic of there's an increase of irritability. When you are on constant survival mode, your nervous system feels it, and therefore you lack patience. You lack patience for those that care about you, that show you that they care about you, but it's that you're just so irritable because your nervous system is not at rest. It hasn't rested. It's important that we also recognize that anxiety may be vigilance, right? Anxiety is not all bad. Anxiety is a cue to something, to a message, whether it's external or internal. Emotional numbness may be protection. When working with clients, I don't know at what capacity you're working with clients, right? So just in general, it's really important for us to recognize that emotional numbness can also be some form of protection. And it's important that we don't take that away. As a supervisor, something that I've had to work with my supervisees is when they're trying to make elderly people not garden or not do so much. And it's like their bodies, if they're retired, their bodies are used to much more. There's a decline in health, right? When they stop moving, when they stop doing. So it's really important that they maintain as much as their routine as they're physically capable to do. Obviously, if they continue to fall, if there's like a health risk in that sense that's already happening, then yes, that intervention would be important. But if they're still physically able, please don't stop them from like their normal activities or more. Exhaustion may be years of holding on to responsibility. For the eldest siblings, for those that are siblings of other disabled siblings, that's also important. Of parents with medical conditions. So I'm not going to go through this slide, but I want you can take a picture. it's really important that we recognize these stress responses. They're not just trauma responses, they are stress responses. When you have anxiety, when you have trauma, any of these can get activated. And this is the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fawn, raise your hand if you're familiar with it. Some of you, fawn response is when you use appeasement or people pleasing like traits and accommodation strategies to reduce perceived threats and for you to establish a sense of safety. Let's say that somebody is trying to steal my purse. And mind you, we also come from a culture of blame. So I'm going to say this within this example. Someone's trying to steal my purse and I'm like, oh, okay, here, take it. And let me give you my phone. I actually have 2 phones here. We can go to the bank and you can take anything that you want from it, right? I'm just in this automatic like fawn response because I'm trying to stay safe. I'm trying to not get hurt. And a lot of times people in our families or in the community don't understand that this is a survival response. They end up saying, you're so dumb. Why would you give them all that? They weren't even asking for that, right? But it's an automatic response that just happens. And we have to recognize that. Okay, so what are culturally responsive ways to support immigrant families? Well, we want to avoid assuming pathology. Most of our graduate school training is all about pathology, so we need to reverse course in that area and learn, adopt more of lived experience normalization and recognizing the fact that many of our clients are living within a system, again, that wasn't created for them and doesn't support them. So it's not them, right, that are just creating these issues, having these issues. It's the system around them that are prescribing the issues, if you will. We want to ask about migration stories respectfully, and that's going to be very dependent from family to family, person to person, and in a very trauma-informed way as well, meaning just in general, it's important that they have coping skills before they go into their story, especially if they have trauma within their migration story. Normalize fear without reinforcing hopelessness, and that's something that during the ICE raid times right now, a lot of clinicians are struggling with because they're experiencing this fear too, right? That co-regulation is important. So maybe if we have to start the conversation or the session we're having with folks in a regulated way with the technique, I encourage you to start that conversation with the technique. Hey, let's just go ahead and practice this together, right? Before we go into this. And understand that legal stress, of course, does not mean that it's a mental illness or a mental disorder. It's okay for us to not have the answers. We, again, are figuring things out. It's okay to sit with discomfort of not being able to relate. And it's okay to relate and be transparent because I know a lot of our schooling doesn't allow us to do that. And it's okay to also refer out. So here we're going to have cultural stigmas that impact help seeking. So I want you to raise your hand if you've heard, en mis tiempos la depresión no existía. Raise your hand if you've heard that. Yeah, in my days, depression didn't exist, right? My days, autism didn't exist. Okay, raise your hand if you've heard, all you need to do is pray and talk to God when you're talking about mental health with someone. All you need to do is pray and talk to God, right? So these are, of course, stigmatizing cultural generational statements that are harmful, and people end up silencing themselves and their pain because they feel invalidated. They are getting invalidated. How about con un traguito se te quita todo? What's a mezcal one? This one's with one drink, all will go away. There's a mezcal one, okay. And crying is for the weak. Raise your hand if you've heard this. Right. So crying is tears are as normal as a fart, as a burp, as a cough, and as a sneeze, okay? It is a biological, physiological function that your body needs for relief. All of them look different, okay? What has happened when you're in a meeting and you hold in a sneeze or a cough and you're like trying to swallow it, right? It comes out even uglier sometimes, or it hurts, okay? Crying, when we hold our tears, we end up feeling those tears super hot. And if you taste them, they're super salty, right? We know those teen years. That was rough. Okay, but my point here is that our cultures tend to normalize more so drinking than crying. It's more so okay to drink than to talk about our emotions. When somebody starts crying, people tend to just say, be strong, don't cry, right? No llores, todo está bien. No, things are not okay, and that's okay. It's normal to cry. Just say, you know, llorando es igual que un pedito. It's okay, llora, right? Just, it's okay. People have to let it out because otherwise they will explode. And we want to normalize this within youth, especially because that's how we break cycles. So now is our activity time as we wind down. Can somebody time me? 10:42. I think I'm doing good on time. Okay. Sorry, I'm sitting here. Okay, so we are going to do a web of collective resistance. This is the first time that I've done it, okay? So bear with me, bear with each other, but it's cute. So what we're going to do, and sorry for folks in the virtual place, you can write down the activity, okay, instead of doing the web. I want you to get in groups of eight, let's say 8, if you can, please. And let's move like there's urgency. Like there's a Latina mom on stage. Groups of 8. And if we can have the yarn come over to each group. I know it's awkward. I'm so sorry for the introverts like me. You can move chairs. You're able to do anything. One yarn per group. One yarn per group. Yeah, this is great space over here. Beautiful. And if you could get in a circle with your group, I'll take it. Okay. I'll take it. I'll throw it to somebody. Yeah, thank you. Get in a circle, please. Okay. Now, one person is going to hold the ball of yarn. I know we're still setting up over there. And the activity is that you are going to name one thing that immigration systems have tried to take that you refuse to let go of. What has the immigration system tried to take away from you and your family that you refuse to let go of? Whether it's a tradition, whether it's something related to your identity, whether it's your language, what is something that the immigration system has tried to erase from you that you refuse to let go of? Okay, and so you are going to, the first person has the yarn and you hold on to your yarn, right? When you're done with your answer, you pass the yarn to somebody diagonal or across and you keep creating a web. Gently toss, gently. It's okay. Do you need yarn?
We're supposed to do something.
Yeah? Not yet.
Okay.
Hold that web tight. Yeah, but one each. Mm-hmm. You could keep going. You could keep going if you're done. You could discuss, or you can reflect on what you heard and what you see symbolically within the web. Manda. Okay. The whole activity? It's right here. So basically it's what immigration systems have tried to take away or erase that you hold on to. You refuse to let go of. Okay.
Sorry for the power, but is it working now?
No, I think this is the PDF version. I'm not sure why it looks weird.
We try to refresh it.
¿Dónde? Maybe because it's on Google Slides.
I don't know how that happened, but I think she said she fixed it.
Can we just use the one that I sent via email, like directly from PowerPoint, or is there no PowerPoint here? No, that's PDF. That won't work. That's okay. We're almost there. That's okay.
I'll go on.
Just help me put in presentation mode. Yeah. Okay, okay, go ahead. Two minutes. The fourth thing is to reflect on what you've heard and what you see symbolically within the web. 1 more minute. All right, everybody, this is so beautiful. This is beautiful. Thank you so much. I want you to stay in position. I want you to take a moment and look at what we all created. Look at the webs around you. So there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 webs, right? And none of these webs would exist if you each didn't show up and share, right, about your experience. So I just really want to thank you for the vulnerability, because I know it isn't easy. There's a lot of strength in vulnerability. And I know that the reflections, again, for the introverts may have been a little difficult, but again, there was so much joy, somatic movement created, and creativity here. Your webs are so beautiful. And regardless of where we come from and what we come from, we are all interconnected, right? So you all have a little corazón sagrado, or a little brain, okay? And that is your keepsake. I will have scissors. Find me afterwards if you want to cut a piece of yarn and put your corazoncito or brain in that charm. That is yours to keep as a moment of this activity. We can go ahead and put away the webs as we come back to conclude this presentation. I want you to remember to carry this web within you, not just physically, but also how we move in the world, because it is a web of resistance. So I have slides on burnout that I'm not going to go through, okay? Wherever you are, it's all good. You could stay. We're going to just finish the presentation here. I want you to recognize, though, that burnout can come from over-identification when you're trying to justify your identities. It's not just from work. It's not just from parenting. It comes from a rescue mentality where you feel like you have to be there for others when you're running on 0%. It comes from lacking boundaries. And it comes from systems, of course, expecting endless labor, especially if you are bilingual and if they're not paying you. So healing is necessary for sustainability of movements, advocacy, right, for nervous system regulation, for immune system strength, for resistance, because healing is political. And now more than ever, we have to stay interconnected. So to conclude, here are some resources. You are going to get the PDF version of this deck. I think it's going to look a little better, I'm sorry, than the presentation. You can use my directory to find a Latina therapist or an immigration evaluation clinician across the nation, latinxtherapy.com, and español es terapia para latinos.com. If you need help, support at latinxtherapy.com. We can do the search for you. And, ¿qué más? We have Spanish-speaking therapists, and we have a list of therapists across the nation that are offering services at no cost to families impacted directly by the ICE raids. We have a list, thank you, to all the therapists on there. We have a list of therapists as well that are still offering services at no cost to the wildfire survivors in LA. If anything, please just always ask me, email me, don't DM me. Here is just assertive communication templates if you struggle with boundaries, okay? Just fill in the blanks, start with I statements, but there's also the sandwich effect, and there's direct and to the point. Can you babysit for me this weekend? No, I can't. And that's it, right? No explanation needed. Because sometimes as people pleasers, we tend to want to rant. I can't because I have to pick up Susie at this time, and then afterwards I have to go to work from this time, but maybe I could squeeze in during lunch, right? No, I can't, okay? Here are some books based off of the topic that we discussed, and then I have more on my website, okay? Set Boundaries, Find Peace, The Pain We Carry, Homecoming, Decolonizing Therapy, Burnout, a little bit of everything. Here are some recommended YouTube and podcasts by BIPOC folks, again, that I recommend. Okay, on my YouTube, I do have a playlist in English and Spanish of relaxation techniques. Right now, we're building up the Spanish section. So we have a lot of techniques in Espanol from different Latinx therapists, okay? So share that as a free resource to clients or family members. Here are therapy funds. Right now, my nonprofit, Alejandra Foundation, is providing free support groups to rapid responders like we did last year. So we are about to start groups in March. So if you're a rapid responder, you need collective healing, you need free support groups, you're gonna do a screener with me because I gotta make sure there's no ICE agents trying to join, right? It gives me anxiety, but we're doing really well with the screeners. And then there's gonna be a pre-test, and then you choose your group based off of your time and topic of interest, and then you're allocated. It's an intimate group of 6 to 8 people, rapid responders only, nobody shadowing. It's an intimate group with you and the facilitator. And then here are other therapy funds, nonprofits that offer free therapy to folks in the community. Crisis lines. And I think that's it. We did it. Yay. Thank you, everybody. How awesome to see people standing during a presentation. I love this. Thank you so much. All right, bye.
In the web. And imagine so you're talking about the space, right, with the web. The more that we come together collectively, like love is strong. Right? The layers.
Webs themselves are so strong. Yes.
So that was just really cool.
Thank you. I wish I had that reflection, but I was like, lights, it's hot. Thank you so much for that. Muchas gracias. Oh, gracias. No me caben mis pantalones, pero no se nota. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I hope you like the magic so many.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh, it's okay? Time-wise?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Being so flexible. I know that I apologize about the PDF not working.
It's okay. I think it was, okay. Thank you so much.
You did such a great job. Yeah. They really like the activity too.
They did like the activity. Yeah. Yeah. Someone came up to me, they're like, webs are really strong. So they're like, when we come together, we're stronger together. And so, yeah. I
It
think
was so nice too, because you have a lot of a lot of the groups were intertwined. So there's groups who are like strictly just Spanish, English, or bilingual. So to see them work together, it's like,
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Did they have translation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, should I?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. What's happening now? Where are those happening? Here?
Some side, and then one's gonna be.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Awesome. Did it sound rushed? No? Okay. It was okay. I was sweating there, girl. The light. Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah, but that happens. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. Thank you. Sí.
¿Hace rato no estaba ahí abajo?
Creo que no.
No, es que traía yo unos micrófonos.
Oh, yo tengo uno.
No. Bueno, son iguales. Había una bolsita así como blanquita y los metí, pero es una cajita.
No, pero podemos ver
Que no sé si es
si alguien lo puso aquí en accidente.
Es que yo los metí en una bolsa porque pensé que era bolsa de tela.
Ah, bueno.
Y yo lo metí en una bolsa blanca, pero son dos cajitas, sí.
Mire. I'll stay around for a little. But yes, yeah. ¿Lo mira?
No, son las cajitas grandes.
Okay.
Pero algo así.
Nerviosito, búscanos. Sí, busca.
Porque
Kayla. Hi.
So, I'm gonna put this, ayúdame a mover para allá, a esa esquina, todo. Ahorita te ayudo. De hecho, we're gonna put a circle around you on that side, because there's gonna be another slide over here. Don't It's the next week. Bye. Yeah. I'll get his name on the list. Heather, can you help me? This, I got it. Thank you.
What do you want me to do? The chairs in circle?
Right here, right here.
Actually, I think you gave me it. No, I don't know exactly who gave me it.
Yeah, it actually goes back there.
Okay.
And they might give you your ID back.
Thank you so
You gave them yours.
Thank you.
When you're ready to talk, you can put this on your.
¿Sabes qué quiere decir? Que mejor me voy a sentar. Que como son poquitos, I don't want to be like speaking de acá arriba, ¿sabes?
Sí, como estés más
Me
cómoda.
siento más a gusto en mi grupo.
Claro.
Y vamos a conectar mi laptop to that and then I can just walk in through it and then more informal, pero
No, that's
No.
a plug in.
I need to.
As long as we have the right kind of plug in for our
I
laptop.
think so. Sí, it is. Right here.
Oh, perfect. That's good.
I can just get it. Let me pull it
Yeah.
here over here.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's all spaghetti. And hopefully it'll just come right on. I hope so.
So.
It's always like a little bit of a
It's
mystery.
it's a coin pop.
Oh my God.
This
Let's hope.
Then I can walk through here.
Yeah.
I just want to share the information.
But it should. Okay, this is back on. Here we go.
Let's go see.
I like the picture of Hawaii. Beautiful. How about that connection with Hope? The first guy talking. Like he was like, oh, you know, isn't that nice? Yeah, that was such a nice. Now, the only thing is I don't know how to do. Yeah, just connect for a second and then see if it. Oh, there we go. It's thinking. Yeah.
But it doesn't need it, right?
No, shouldn't need it. Yeah. Just plug it back in.
It's just.
There it is. It's just thinking. It's like me. It didn't have its place to us, right? Still like that. So we can.
Yeah.
Okay, now and then I'll hit OK and see if it goes. Okay, so it's not that one. Let me try. No, it has to be this one. USB not found. Please, USB is connected. Oh. let me,
All you need to do is, oh, it is connected.
yeah, this was that. So I think hit okay and it takes me back to that. So I wonder, I don't know about those other, I don't know what that is. Hang on, let me get some support. Yeah, I should have watched them. Okay. You have to do the source. Oh. There it is. So wait, so you did this button?
Yeah, so that's right arrow.
Oh my God. I'm like, what is that? Oh boy.
from our generational lines, we inherit beautiful protective capacities and gifts from our generational lines. Those come through just as much. So some of these gifts that we may inherit, and I'm assuming a lot of these are going to resonate because we're social workers. Community and interdependence. So strong relational connections to others, a value of community, taking care of each other, mutual support, connection to elders and family, cultural rituals and identity that provide richness and meaning. So a sense of purpose, finding calm through rituals, prayer, songs, rhythm, connection and belonging to community and pride. Emotional regulation strategies, the ability to keep on going when things are hard, and an ability to tolerate difficulty, loss, uncertainty, and change while still continuing to produce, create, and love. And strong values, so a sensitivity to injustice, a desire to protect, and strong ethics. So some of the ways that we can work with this, okay? So work with the intergenerational trauma that maybe we have inherited. These are some somatic strategies and just general strategies. One is using a family genogram. It's kind of funny because when I was in grad school, I don't know why, but I really didn't like genograms. And I'm like, does that say I have like a block about my own? I don't know what it was. But they're really a beautiful way for ourselves or with someone else of mapping out unresolved experiences of our generations in the past and understanding maybe the way that that shows up inside of us now. So seeing those patterns across lines, creating a family and a generational narrative, right? So this is creating the story and the narrative of our family. This is doing the research, the investigation, understanding the historical context of generations before, really creating a strong idea of what is our family story. And really thinking about things like, what were my grandparents' experiences? And what do I feel in my body as I think about those experiences? What support did they maybe not get that I can offer myself now? Healing in community is a really big one for this. I cannot emphasize it enough. It's big for everything. But grief circles, singing together, moving together, cooking together, hugging people mindfully. Doing now what did not get done then. I love this one. So this would be expressing the grief, the rage, the anger, the sadness that maybe our ancestors, our lineage was not able to express. And so us now being able to express and metabolize those emotions. Adriana mentioned this one too, and I love this one, and it's resting. So many of us have ancestral lines that could not rest, and it was for survival. It was not an option to rest, or it was forced upon them. They were not allowed to rest. And so it's so important for us, if we can, give our bodies rest, even in small amounts. There's two quotes that I love here from the author Tricia Hersey in Rest is Resistance, a manifesto that I will share with you. We must believe we are worthy of rest. We don't have to earn it. It is our birthright. It is one of our most ancient and primal needs. Release the shame you feel when resting. It does not belong to you. Psychoeducation on the nervous system, right? So really learning about our nervous system states and connecting it to maybe patterns of our ancestors. And then this is a really great one for everyone, but if you work with kids, I really love this. There is research that studied children who knew about their family stories and generational stories versus children who did not. And the children who knew their family stories scored higher on emotional well-being and resiliency measures. And you can imagine why, right? But it's a very big deal for a child to understand what they're feeling, sensing, and seeing. So for example, if there is a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle that has difficulty in their bodies and the child experiences this, we can create a narrative around maybe the grief or the loss or the difficulties that our family has faced. And there's a term that's really wonderful here, that you want to create an oscillating narrative. And an oscillating narrative is where we can go to the hardship, the trauma, the difficulty, and then we oscillate to the strength, the resiliency, to the good things that happened from that trauma. And we go back and forth. We oscillate between the two. So we are now gonna try a strategy. I didn't share, so I'm gonna share it now. One of the strategies that I really love is visualization and imagination. There is neuroscience that shows that we can heal physiologically in our bodies through imagination, imaginal healing. What this means is when we imagine something happening, our body experiences it in a form as if it is happening, right? So then we get that healing in our system. And so we're going to try a little bit of this out here today together. But what we're really doing is speaking to a past ancestor. We're recognizing their pain, thanking them for surviving, because we're here today because they survived. And we're also asking to release the burdens that we maybe inherited, and acknowledging the gifts and the strengths that we have, okay? The way that we're gonna do this is, this is gonna blow away. Here, I'm gonna put it just right here. Okay. I have a sheet here. You guys, I cannot tell you, this last week, I reworked this activity like 1,000 times. I was like, okay, well, no, it's not gonna work. This could be too weird. But I hope this works, we'll see. But I have a sheet here that I created. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna explain what we're gonna do and then we'll do it. But I'm gonna invite you to pair up with somebody, just the person next to you, really. Get comfortable, get situated. And then we're gonna spend 5 minutes, I'm gonna play some music, just writing on this sheet and filling it out. So you can be with your own self and just spend some time thinking about it. This stuff is vulnerable, right? It goes deep real fast. So please honor your own capacity, where you're at today. This is all choice-based. You do not have to do any of this, okay? We really want to listen to that voice. If you're not feeling it today, totally cool. You can just chat with your partner about, the trees or whatever. But I invite you to give it a try if it does feel good. I will say something about this activity is I want you to honor your capacity and also know about the power of sharing and being witnessed is really, really huge in terms of healing, right? We do therapy, we witness other people. That in itself is the healing, is bearing witness to somebody else's story, right? So I do encourage you, if you feel like you have the capacity today, to read what you wrote out loud to your partner, to hear yourself say these words. And if that's not feeling good, you could chat about, your thoughts on the activity or anything else you'd like to chat about. We're gonna do 5 minutes of writing, 5 minutes of sharing. In this activity, you're going to think of an ancestor Again, a parent, a grandparent, a great-grandparent, someone you knew or did not know. Maybe you just can even imagine further lines down of who this person might have been. And you're going to imagine a day in their life. Just one day, a snapshot, a Polaroid picture of it. What were they wearing? Were they alone? What can they see and hear? What was happening in the world? I want to encourage you to pick an ancestor with wellness, okay? With wellness and healing attached to them. We don't want to pick someone where there's difficulty or abuse today. We want to go to somebody that feels easy to access in terms of strength and gifts. If we can, if you can't think of anyone, that's okay too, okay? And then we're going to go, you'll just go through this sheet here. You're going to acknowledge a burden that they carried. You're going to thank them for surviving, and you're going to ask to release that burden. You're going to thank them for giving you a gift, and I have examples to help you. And then you're going to identify, because of that gift, I am. And then I have words here to help as well, okay? I am going to share my own, so I filled it out myself to give you guys an example of this. Is there any questions about this activity before we do it and I share this? Okay. Yes. Yes, you're gonna have it on the sheet, but we're gonna thank them for a gift. You're all gonna get a sheet and a pen. If you don't have it, I even brought pens, okay? So you'll be able to just fill this out. Yes, great question, thank you. What else was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else. Oh, I just wanted to name, so I'm gonna read mine. I want to share, like, personally, that, like, sharing this with you all is a part of my healing, okay? Like, one of my, in the work that I've done, one of the generational burdens that I've inherited is not wanting to be seen. It's invisibility, like, just, oh, like, just don't notice me, don't look at me. Like, can I hide? Can I be in the back of the room? Can I leave early? You know, like, this fear around being seen. And I've been working on this with many beautiful teachers and healers that I'm so grateful for. And so for me today, reading this to you, right, is a part of my own healing. It is being able to share with you on my 2 feet who I am. So I thank you all for bearing witness to me. So my grandmother, Preciada, she is in Safrou, Morocco, and she is wearing a long black dress, tired, caring for 10 children, cooking, standing in her house, one large room for the entire family. There was a violent conflict in her country, resisting French colonial rule, and she feared a government change in Morocco, which would mean she would be forced to leave her country. A burden she carried is not belonging and exhaustion, but not being able to rest. Thank you for surviving, grandmother. And I ask to release this burden of not belonging, being exhausted, but not being able to rest, to the elements, of releasing them to water, to drift away and dissolve. Thank you for giving me the gift of pushing forward, continuing even when it feels impossible. Because of this, I am strong and powerful. Okay, we're gonna get to it. So how about get a partner, and I'm gonna hand out the sheets to everyone, okay? Don't worry about time, I'll cover time. So I really want you guys to get a moment to just sit with this reflective practice. Could you just take one and pass? Maybe take one and pass. Maybe just take one and pass. Thank you. Okay, maybe take one and pass. Thank you. Oh, do you? Yes, yes, yes. Here, yes. Oh, and I also have pens. If you need a pen, do you need a pen? Here, here, here. Okay, I'm gonna play some music here. I don't know how she for later. I mean, I'm gonna film, but this is fascinating. Can I? How she do? Have enough? Oh, of course, please.
Stick it in my
No, please, please,
pocket
please.
and do it.
There might be two, but yes, of course, please.